I've ummed and ahed a lot about making this video because I feel like my page is a place where you come, you watch my attempt at comedy, you delete and unfollow, and then you leave. I'm not really the preachy type of person on this page, so that's why I wasn't sure if I should make a video on this. But then a couple of days have gone past and I thought, well, I've got a platform where I can express an opinion, and I just want to share with you where my head is at on this issue. I decided to do a tiny bit of research into recycling and into plastics, and I've come to a conclusion that I feel like I need to change everything that I do in 2019. This has all come to a head when a lot of people have told me they wanted me to review and talk about the new Coles mini collectibles. If you're unaware, last year I got really excited about Coles mini collectibles, and I got caught up in the craze, and I was a lunatic because I'm a 32-year-old single guy who lives at home alone collecting children's toys. Now this video is probably going to seem a tad hypocritical, but I think I've come to the realization now that I don't need these. Why would I collect them? The idea is you spend $30 at Coles and you get a little vegetable or a fruit and you collect them. It's due to promote healthy eating in kids. And I get it. I understand exactly why it's being done. And in my little world, I would be all for this. I would be frothing for these things. And I realized that I live in a world where I don't care about anything other than myself. And that's the narcissism bubble that I live in. Now, in the last Coles Minis video I made, I said some things where I actually blatantly said I don't care about the environment because collecting is fun. And that was before I did any research into the current state of said environment. And it is poor. The environment is poor at the moment. So I did a bit of research and then I learned some things that were disappointing, and then I felt really bad about myself, and then I was like, oh, no, I probably can't talk about these. Like, in the scheme of things, I don't know if I want these to end up in landfill. And that's ultimately where they'll end up. And in the Coles Minis collection I did before, I said, no, these won't end up in landfill. These will be forever on my shelf because they are a treasured possession. And they're still up on my shelf, but ultimately everything's going to end up in landfill. But what I learned was, even when I do my washing, synthetic fibers from my clothes go down the drain and end up in the ocean, just from a load of washing. I'm sure there are a lot of people rolling their eyes and being like, oh, here we go, an environmentalist telling us what we should and shouldn't buy. Everyone hemp only, no one wear any clothes. You can buy a plastic bottle of water, you can wash your clothes, you can do all that, but it's the knowledge that sort of creates the power and the sheer guilt. We use and produce so much plastic. And I also found out that biodegradable plastic doesn't mean you can just piff it and it will disappear. I also learned that there's plastic in everything. Even some of the products I use in the shower have things called microbeads in them. And I knew that existed, but I didn't realize the extent in which it is. And they're small beads of plastic that, I don't know, help exfoliate your skin. And they wash down the drain and they end up in the ocean. And then they float and then fish eat them and then fish die. But then ultimately the fish eat them and then we eat the fish. So we're consuming plastic. We're basically, every time we go and buy some food, we're pretty much eating plastic. So in this whole turn of events, we're basically killing ourselves. Again, I'm not telling you what you should and shouldn't buy. I just think knowledge is power. When you're doing these things and when you're buying these products, just know that ultimately they're going to end up in the ocean or they're going to end up as food for animals. I think for 2019, what I want to do is just try and slowly limit my plastic consumption. And we can do that quite easily. Reusable water bottle, keep cup for my coffee, a cloth bag, and just being mindful of how much plastic is in the things that you're buying. Here in Melbourne, I'm seeing a huge increase in people using keep cups and cafes offering discounts for those that use reusable cups. And I think big corporations need to also take the lead. And one thing I've noticed which is pretty good is Apple. So this was an iPhone 6 I bought maybe 2 years ago. Now they use a cardboard box, but inside was plastic. A couple of weeks ago, I bought a new iPhone 10 and they've still kept the cardboard box, but on the inside, it's cardboard. So there's no plastic whatsoever in this packaging, which is great because I can just chuck that in the recycle bin. The headphones that came with the iPhone 6 were wrapped in copious amounts of plastic, but the headphones that came with the iPhone 10 are actually wrapped in this piece of paper. So it's also completely recyclable. And Apple is one of the biggest companies in the world. All companies should follow suit. And that's why I think when we do come up with promotions we need to make sure that these bits of junk are wood, paper, cardboard. Now, I know Woolworths did one and it was shit. Like, it was the worst thing. But it was cardboard and you could just throw it in the bin and recycle it. But we need to come to terms with the fact that while plastic brings us joy, it also brings us death, which is not great. In 2019, I'm going to try really hard to use my Keep Cup to drink from a reusable water bottle and to carry a cloth bag everywhere. And because I'm such a narcissist, the cloth bag I'm going to use is one with my face on it. Christian, do you know last year you really contributed a lot to landfill with your Coles Minis obsession? He doesn't have time for me because he's a busy working asshole who doesn't care about the environment. But not me. I care for the environment now and I want to help it, and I realise that I need to grow up and I need to really think about what my actions will do. And while on an individual scale, you might think, what's one coffee cup going to do? In the long run, it's actually going to do quite a lot. For the 32 years of absolute environmental destruction that I have done, I will be donating some money to a charity that I've done some research in. I will link it in the description below. It's basically to promote and preserve Australian wildlife. If you can afford to donate, that is amazing. If not, just make some small changes in your life, because in the grand scheme of things, those small changes in a couple of years' time will mean big changes. This has been a message from Christian, the dumb idiot who wears wigs. Yeah, I've got no qualifications whatsoever, so...